Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 151 of Discourse in Magic with Manuel Llaser. In this episode, we talk about so many things. We talk about performing magic all over the world, including what it's like to perform magic with a translator. We talk about what it really means when people say the Spanish School of Magic, what they're referring to, and how you can instill those thoughts and those beliefs into your magic and your performing. We talk about Manuel's time working with Tamariz, as well as just everything that he does and uses to make his effects strong and powerful. This is one of the most incredible episodes that I've got, the privilege to record in recent memory, and I think you're all really going to like it. Here it is, episode 151 of Discourse in Magic with Manuel Llaser. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins, and we are here with an incredibly special guest. This is somebody who I knew of his magic before. I had bought some of his magic and learned some of his incredible stuff. Then I got a chance to meet him at the recent Magi Fest, and I knew I had to get him on the podcast. He's been blowing my mind recently, and I'm here with the incredible Manuel Llaser. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm super excited to chat with you about everything. There's so much that I want to talk about, and just to start, usually I ask about how the magician who's on the podcast got into magic, and I think that how you got into magic, I want to hear about, and I also want to hear about how that led to you being in so many places around the world. Because I know that you've performed and lived in many places and done magic there. So tell us a little bit about how you got into magic, and then maybe how that helped you move and travel and be in some different places.
Okay, I will be very happy. So to start with, I am from a family of artists. So my grandmother, she dances. My mother also, she's a dancer. My uncle, he's a magician. He's a professional magician. His name is Alan Marchese. Since I was 5 years old, I was in touch with magic. No, I don't remember having any birthday without a magician, something in relationship with magic. So from the beginning, I'm used to see magic and learn magic. So when I was 12 years old, because my uncle was too close to me and he wanted me to take very seriously magic and not only to copy the family tradition, he sent me to study with a teacher in Argentina. I call him Maestro because he formed many good magicians in Argentina, and his name was Curtis. And Curtis, who recently passed away, unfortunately, he was a great teacher. And what I can say about him, mostly how he influenced me, was he put the seed of loving to love, of love, and loving to read magic. Reading magic is something fundamental for the formation of any art. You have to read, you have to know the story, and you have to know your craft. And he introduced me in reading and borrowed me many books. He also showed me many coin tricks. I love coin magic. At the beginning, I was more in love with coins than cards. Also, he taught me many mentalism, other part of the magic like manipulation. So he was great, and he was very kind with me, and he allowed me to be in a special group with 2 or 3 of the best magicians in Argentina at that time. And one of them was Pablo Sanata, who is incredible card magician. I think he's one of the top 10 in the world. He's not very well known because he's underground, but he has a library of more than 5,000 books. He knows everything about the craft. So he allowed me to be with him. And then in the year 1992, I met for the first time Juan Tamariz. Juan Tamariz came to Argentina since 1974, every year without interruption. And in 1992, I met him. He blew my mind. No, I already knew about him because I saw the TV programs. I used to see the TV programs at the end of the 90s. And for me, he was like crazy. He blew my mind all the time. And then I met the guy. Was crazy, really. He changed my life. No, and we immediately we connect. He was very kind with me, of course, because Alan Marchese was his friend and I was his nephew and all this. But we connect immediately. And after many years of friendship and seeing him every year and showing some stuff, in the year 1998, he invited me and proposed to me to go to Spain. Yeah,
So obviously, I want to talk a little bit more about what it was like working with Tamariz, but one of the things that was very interesting to me is that you were in your third and final year of law school before you decided that, or sorry, your third, about to go into your final year, and then you decided to drop everything and go work on magic. So tell me what that was like and how you could make a decision like that.
this is a very personal decision, and I'm not in any position to give advice to anyone who has this, how to say, challenge of choosing between a career and a passion. But how the way it happened to me was like this was once in a lifetime. Tamariz called me to work with him. He wanted me to help him in writing and, how to say, saving the ideas. So if anything happened, will be not lost. I took the chance. I talked with my family. Again, my father was like shaking. My mother said, "Take the opportunity," and I left. But my point of view, if it happened to me again, or someone sometime asking me, "Oh, I am in this career. I want to dedicate to magic. I prefer to quit the career," I will say, career in the life is very important. You need to develop your culture, your inner world. You need to know about different arts, different things in life. When you do your show, people will, how to say, they will know if you are just talking for talking itself or if you know what you are talking. So having a career, finishing a career, a degree is very important if you want to be a very good magician.
One of the things that I hear you mentioning about is working with different teachers and learning from teachers. So people like Curtis, people like Alan and Juan and things like that. I feel like now I don't see that sort of relationship with teachers, or in in Canada or in Toronto, I don't see the kind of relationships with teachers that you're talking about. Tell me a little bit about that, maybe what it's from and how it helps in the development of your magic.
Well, I have a background in, how to say, Eastern philosophy. So, in the East, it's very normal if you want to learn something to have what they call a teacher, a guru, a maestro. Even if you want to learn martial arts or you want to learn philosophy or you want to learn any craft, even music or whatever, you need a teacher. And passing the knowledge from, teacher to student, then the student to other student is like a normal thing, a traditional thing in the East. So I learned this from the beginning of my life. And it's very helpful because help you to develop humility and to learn to listen. Sometimes you're not very, you don't agree with everything your teacher says. But you learn to listen, to analyze, to understand why he's saying that. And then you develop a sense of choosing, how to choose what is good for you, what you can apply and what you cannot apply, what you want, which kind of knowledge you want to penetrate, let the knowledge penetrate you, and what other knowledge you don't want to go into. So for me, it was very natural at the beginning to learn with Curtis because I didn't know nothing. And when you start magic, you need a teacher. You can read, but you don't understand. You can see videos, but will be very confusing. But when you have a teacher, and if the teacher is good, of course, he will guide you through the steps how to learn the craft at the beginning with self-working tricks, teaching you the principles, teaching you the first techniques, how to apply them, how to use them. And it's very useful. But when you are growing up in magic and you want to go deeper, unless you are a genius and you can do everything by your own, you need someone to help you to go through. Maybe you can do it by yourself, but you will save a lot of time if you associate with different kind of senior magician who can teach you different kinds of ways of seeing the craft. Nowadays, you can see a tendency. Many people say, oh, you have to do your own path. You have to be your own teacher. You have to choose your own, philosophy or do your own philosophy. And maybe it's true, maybe it's okay. But my point is, if you want to do your own path or you want to create your own philosophy or your own theory, at the beginning, you need to know the classic ones. You need to go deep into them, analyze them, and see what is not, what these theories and what these things are saying, and what's in, deep in you are not agree with these theories, and what you will do to change them, or to challenge these theories with the most respect, but to challenge all of them and then go forward. No.
One of the things that's interesting that you're mentioning there is the necessity of learning everything, and of learning every or the full theory of what someone says, and fully understanding it and using it. And it takes all of that before you get to realize whether or not you agree or whether or not you don't agree. It doesn't just come from reading in a book and reading a line and saying, let's try it, right? Or, let's not try it. You have to go through this in a little bit more of a school-like or regimented way to move through all of the theory. Is that right?
Yes, you can say that. Depend on many things. Some of the theories and the techniques and principles in magic, I went through completely. I lived through these theories, and some of them, at least I read it, analyzed them, and then I choose, okay, I don't like much, or I don't want to follow this path. But what I mean is you have to know them.
Right.
Otherwise, you are creating all the things that are already created. You change the name, you put a different name, and then you claim, you have some new, point of view magic, when you are repeating the same with different name, no? This is my point. At least you have to read them, you have to know them, and you have to understand why you are choosing them and why you are not choosing them. Even if you are wrong, at least you need to know. Okay, I don't choose, the mystery magic school, although I really like all this stuff. I really, really like. But I say as an example, I don't, following this mystical path because I don't believe in this kind of stuff, or I don't want to, express these kind of things. But at least you need to know. You need to analyze them. What Jim Burger was telling. How is this school? What they are talking about? How they live the magic through the philosophy? What message they want to give? How they are giving this message through the language of magic? Are they only talking, or are they using the effect to talk about the message? At least you need to question all these things, and then you can choose. I want to follow this path, or I want to use some of these things, or not, or none.
So let's talk a little bit about performing magic in different places around the world. And, one of the things that has become apparent is, that magic is different. Magic is different in North America. It's different in Spain. I imagine it's different in Russia and the Philippines and Argentina or whatever. Tell me a little bit about that, and maybe some places where you think magic is maybe not better, but special, or there's unique things going on, whether that's a challenge in performing or like a great magic community.
Okay, I can say that my best experience as a community in magic is living in Spain. Of course, North America has a great community. All America has a great community of magic. In North America, in Canada, in South America. But living in Spain, my best experience was having this, Escuela Mágica de Madrid, who is a group who study the magic, push the magic forward all the time, force you to study, to analyze, to inquire, to try to understand. For this, I'm very grateful. And of course, in general, the audience, the public in general in Spain is very well versed in what magic means, because they saw magics in the 80s in television. They saw Tamariz, Pepe Carroll, René Lavan, and many great magicians that came to the TV. So they know about magic, and they have a little standard, I can say, of what they like and they don't like. This is why the theaters are full now, and you have a great audience. When I moved to other countries, the story was completely different. For example, when I moved in 2009 from Madrid to Kuala Lumpur to live in Malaysia, almost there was no community of magicians there. What the public in general knew about magic was what they came from United States, Chris Angel, sometimes Copperfield in the past, Darren Brown a little bit. Let's say about this, these magicians well known around the world, but they didn't know much about magic. So the first challenge was to talk in English, to leave my mother language and to talk in English, because you lose a little communication. I like to perform, communicating with the public, establishing relationship from the beginning. trying to make the magic about, comedy, but also about emotions, feelings. And it was very difficult at the beginning because I realized most of the magic I do is about what I say or using psychology with the words. And when you are losing a little bit, you are not very, accurate with the words you said, then you are losing some of your powerful stuff and force you to go more in the visual stuff more than the conceptual stuff. And it was a challenge at the beginning.
Yeah.
The public in Kuala Lumpur is not as sophisticated as in the public in Spain. In general, I'm talking, because in Kuala Lumpur, I performed for the Queen of Kuala Lumpur, one of the 7 queens, and the husband, and the royal families, and the prime minister. Although these crowds were very sophisticated, they were not very used to magic, and they were more used to consume visual magic, fast magic, and not conceptual magic in the way I used to do, and I learned in Escuela Mágica of Madrid. So in this way, I have to adapt a little bit to the public. I have to talk a little less. I have to, make a script, because what I learned was like I improvise in my shows, and when I came up with something very good, I write down as a script. But all my, magic trick scripts are, the fruit of improvisation in the moment.
Yeah.
But when you go to another country, you talk another language, you need to think more. What are you going to say? You don't want to look like a monkey talking, not choosing the right words, because they don't appreciate mistakes in grammar or misuse of the words. So I please apologize to all the audience of my choosing of the words, because it's not my mother language. Of course, you already noticed that. I don't need to make this point, but anyway, I try to choose the best words I can. But when you do a show, you need to be very careful, especially when you work with these high society people. A different world was when I went to Russia. In Russia, of course, they have a tradition in magic, and they have great magicians. The community in Moscow especially was very small, and I realized, because I didn't speak any word in Russia, I have to use a translator for my shows. So this was a really complete challenge, because you lost, the rhythm of your performance is lost. You cannot do nothing about it. So you need to rethink everything again. You need to think what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say, which kind of effects are good, which kind of effects are terrible. For example, to give you an example, if you're asking for, name any card, and you, by the way, happen to know the cards in Russian, then give you a lot of time to find the card, because the people say in Russian, the Russian send the translator, and this is great. I did a lot of miracles using this. It was so funny, because the moment I knew the card in English, I already have the card in the wallet, inside. No, this was great. But sometimes you need to know the reaction of the public, or you say some joke and people say something, and you don't, manage to understand, then you lose the rhythm. The jokes are lost. You need to create new ones. You need to adapt. And this was great for me, because they took me out from my, comfort zone. Finally, I met a magician. He's a great guy, really, Denis Chertovsky. And he said to me, Manuel, don't worry. I will translate to you, and we are going to do a show together. You are going to do the magic. I'm going to translate. Then I'm going to do some magic. You are going to play the clown. You're going to put faces, and you're going to help me. And then we do tricks together. We create a duo. We do magic comedy together. And this was great, because everything was an interaction. No, the translation was part of the show. And as soon as he meet him, we did a tour in Moscow, around the theaters, in the whole Moscow. No, in the whole, Russia, not only Moscow. And we went to Vladivostok and to, many places in Moscow, in Russia, in the deep Russia. And then I have a great experience, because I managed to make the public to understand me, to appreciate, to laugh. And I learned to wait, to wait the reaction of the public, and then to react properly, and to, work more slowly and understand that there are different rhythms in magic, not only yours. And sometimes you have to, make a pause, a way them to laugh, then you react properly, waiting to react to your reaction, and it was very good, a lot of experience. And then from there, I work in many places, like in India, for example. Every year I go to India and I make a tour. India is great. I think India is one of the best places in the world to perform magic. The Indians are like children. They are so great audience. They pay attention, they love magic, and I learn a lot. And I perform for big audiences. We are talking about 5,000-6,000 of people. In Moscow, I perform in a football stadium. In Ukraine, I was MC of the European Football Cup. So I was doing MC in English and in Russia with a translator, and I was doing some magic. In the Donetsk, when Spain played against Germany, I think. No, Germany, no, France. And I was doing MC. So I did quite big, shows for a lot of people. And in India, I did shows for sometimes 5,000, 6,000, almost 10,000 people. You cannot see the end of the crowd. They have big screens. I learned to enjoy, and I learned how to communicate. For 100 people, 1,000 people, or 10,000 people, I understood the magic is all the same. You have to adapt a little bit the way you communicate. And it was a big lesson, to perform in India.
Wow,
to try different.
That's incredible to hear about the different places. And also, I have never thought about how difficult it could be to perform with a translator. I mean, already when you go from speaking directly to an audience to using a microphone, the voice doesn't come from your mouth anymore, right? It comes from the speaker. So you lose half of it, let alone, a whole other person saying what you were saying, a second after you. That's something that I've never had to deal with. I heard a rumor that after you did that magic in the football stadium, they asked you to be an announcer. Is that true?
Yeah. When I was working, this happened in Malaysia, because I have a lot of years of experience. And in Malaysia, I was in TV. And it was very funny because I was in a wedding and a producer saw me and said, I want you to be in my program, TV program. I said, okay. So the TV program was live in a restaurant. The name of the program was Bola at Mamak. Bola means ball. Bola at Mamak. And Mamak was a kind of traditional restaurant in Malaysia. And it's very well-known TV program about football. So I was performing there only magic in relationship with football. So this, was very, very strange for me. I never thought how I will do magic in relationship with football and with football topics. So I got at least 5 or 6 ideas, and it worked perfectly. One idea was, I say, I don't know nothing about magic, and you are all world expert, because was people from many countries, especially from the Premier League, from UK. So, and they were experts. So I decided to make a contest. I designed very difficult questions. I put in a clear bag, and they had to pick up a question, and they always got the terrible question that nobody could ask, and I always got the very easy question, like, is the football round or square, and all this kind of stuff, and it was great. At the end, they say, okay, we want you to be a host, a TV host of a program, and I denied, because I was thinking, nothing has to do with magic, I have to talk about football, I don't know nothing about football. But now, looking, many years pass, and I regret, because it would have been a nice experience to work in TV and learn the language of TV. And I regret. So if you ever have an opportunity,
it's funny.
Yes, tell me.
One of the things that's come up twice now is, just taking opportunities and saying yes to opportunities that could have a large impact and be very effective. So that's interesting. One of the things that you were talking about was magic in other languages. And I wanted to hear a little bit about what happens when we take some of the best Spanish magicians, and then North Americans, all we know from their magic is their English versions of their magic. And I imagine that there's so much lost, in the translations, like you're talking about in translating to other languages. But the magicians that we know and we see, like Tamariz and like, Danny de Ortiz, and, magicians who learned English to share with English speakers, I imagine that a lot of the heart is lost. So can you talk a little bit about how it's different when you watch that sort of magic in North America?
We were discussing this with Alan in Magi Fest because I know Tamariz for many years. I saw many performance. And although his performance was brilliant and everybody loved him, it's like you said, they only know this. They only know this Tamariz. Like, he talk in this way and he do the show like this. And even though it's not his mother language, everybody loved him. His magic is very powerful. But I know American magician, or let's say English-speaking magician, they don't know the complete Tamariz, because Tamariz is another reality when he performs in Spanish. The rhythm, the words, everything is different. Let's say everything is better, or everything is the way it should be. But I can say about Tamariz, for example, like he take a lot of care in which word he's gonna use. We were like 2-3 hours discussing the script, rehearsing. He take very seriously, although maybe he's not the best English speaker. He take very seriously the choosing the words and everything, and he rehearse a lot how to talk in English. So he takes very seriously. I can say Danny Da Ortiz and Woody Aragon, two of the, top exponent in the Spanish school, they know better English. They grown up with the English, and they, they know, they adapt. They understood the difficulty and they adapt the show. And I can say you don't miss much seeing Danny Ortiz and Woody Aragon. They are great both in English and in Spanish.
Interesting. I didn't expect you to say that, and it makes sense, obviously, that depending on when they learned English, it dictates that. One of the questions that I wanted to, put very clearly is, in North America, there is a lot of confusion or explanation or representation of what it means to be or learn from or be a part of the Spanish School of Magic. Some people think that it could mean, if you speak Spanish and you do magic, it's a Spanish School of Magic. Some people, it's as far as saying, like, are these people who learn from someone who learned from Tamariz or Ascanio? So what does it mean when someone says the Spanish School of Magic? And if there are certain ideas, what kinds of ideas are those?
Okay. The Spanish School of Magic is born out of a need for a change. And this need for a change was the vision of 7 magicians who realized they want the magic to go forward. They saw the magic was not in the place the craft, or let's say the art, belongs. And they need to, as young magicians, they need to create a shock. They need to create an impact. So they wrote this manifesto saying the magic is going nowhere. Dai Vernon already passed 20 years and the magic didn't evolve at all. It's in Dai Vernon state, but nobody took Dai Vernon's teaching and pushed the teachings forward. And Fred Capps, who learned from Dai Vernon, is still the leading magician after 20 years. And we are the young generation. We need to take this torch and we need to go forward. We need to go deeply. We need to analyze the theories. We need to create schools. We need to, perform for the audience and then get report from the audience. We need to try the theories in practice, and we need to apply theory to our practice. So all these kind of things was the need of a moment. Led by Arturo Dascanio, who was considered for many magicians the Dai Vernon of Spain, and a very young Juan Tamariz, Juan Anton, Varela, and many others. I'm leaving outside many others, but followed by all these, young magicians who were in the top, in the best moment of their life with a lot of energy. They trying to, get together and study the magic deeply and go forward. This is the Escuela Mágica of Madrid. That means we are a group of people who are very interested in the magic, and we go deeper. We are talking about, not talking only about the method, the techniques. We are talking about the structure. We are talking about the symbolism. We are talking about the motions. We are talking about magic and cinema, magic and theater, how magic and theater works together, all these things, open all these windows and leaving all these windows for the new generation to go into and study. Understand what I mean? So they create the annual meeting of the Escorial to talk about, to propose topics and go deeper into it. So this is a way of seeing it's an approach how to study magic. And they create a school, of course. They create a way of seeing the magic and structure the magic. This through, Tamariz in television, and then through many others, through the performance in magic conventions, and to go to FISM and to win prizes, this create a school in the world. The way we structure the magic, we think the magic. Of course, this through the years evolve and is changing and is creating new, tendencies and new, branch and new, opposing forces for saying like this, okay, for many years we were following Tamariz, but is there something new? Or we were following Ascanio, or we were following the great teacher Camilo Vázquez, who is one of the fathers of structuralism in Spain. So, is there something new? Let's say something against them. Let's try to provoke, So I think, I think the school, la Escuela Mágica de Madrid is, the big popes in magic, like Tamariz, Ascanio, Camilo Vázquez, and many others, plus the new generation who are, absorbing, and they grew up with all these things as natural, and now they are saying, okay, is there something else? Can we say something against this? Can we, provoke? Can we change? Can we add something? And this is very healthy, I think.
A lot of what you're saying, which is so interesting, is the ability to look at the magic and the theories of the past and then look at it again critically and maybe say, now we're ready for a change. Not, at the beginning when you were talking about, the 7 magicians, the ready for a change was because it had been so long. But just in general, the idea of learning very much from your elders and from, your gurus and things like that, and then afterwards saying, how can we change and how can we grow, and are there things that are updated? If someone in North America, was hearing this and they said, wow, I wish that I could, follow a rule book of magic so that I knew I could say I'm doing magic like this. Or, if someone said, I want to do magic like the Spanish School of Magic, what resources would you recommend so that someone can try to be a magician like one would from the Spanish School of Magic?
Well, I can say like in North America, there is a school, there is like Vernon School. They call him the professor. He has he understood and studied Robert Houdin, Hofzinser, and many other, guys from the underground in the card cheaters, and he put all together and he created a school. We can see Michael Amar, for example, one of the greatest exponents in magic. He is from this school. Also, we can see Edward Marlowe. He's a technician. He developed many variations of many moves and many tricks, and he was thinking in different method and different approach. And he created a school, and you can see Dave Salomon, Simon Aronson, and many great magicians, Bill Malone, and many other great are from this school. You can see the Mystery School in America is great, and you have many great exponents. And of course, if you want to belong to a school, you need to study the reference of this school, trying to understand the historical moment where they create this school, or where they feel the need of creating a way of thinking and applying this method and trying to see results. I'm not saying we need to study and then criticize or say, oh, this is wrong, because I'm trying to say we analyze this is in the historical moment and the cultural moment they were created, and then we're trying to see how to apply this, theories and school to the new generation and the new moment we are living, plus to study and to, go deeper into all the windows and doors that they left open for us to see. I mean, for example, when you see Tamariz, the magical way, he was trying to how to say, to control the rational part of the brain of the spectator, giving in a hit after another hit after another hit, so they switch off this rational part and switch on the emotional part of the spectator. And they do this through the structure and analyzing all the possibilities. The public will think and how to cancel all the possibilities even before the spectator think about, and then to put at the end a false clue so the spectator think, oh, he has the coin in the sleeve, but then you roll your sleeve and they say, oh no, I was wrong, and then you only get the magic rainbow. And this is one approach, and Tamariz was studying this approach, applying this approach, getting great results. But then maybe there is some guys now, Gaby Pareras, for example, saying, okay, this approach is okay, I love it, I understand it, but I not agree with it. I want to see something else. Maybe we can not kill the rational part, we can, through emotions, trying to hit the rational part with emotions, so the rational part become emotion, emotionate. I don't know how to say in English, and then cannot analyze and immediately surrender to the magic. So you see, they were studying Gaby Pareras, Pepe Carroll, and Ascanio, and Tamariz, and then he have a need of and analyzing different options and creating a different school. And it's great, it's very healthy, because if you are a believer of the magical way, for example, they make you wonder, no, am I right, am I wrong, I am applying properly, these guys have different tools, should I study this tool? And if you are, you are not a follower of this idea and you want to follow new ideas, also make you feel, oh, I'm not following this magical way, but I should study to see what are the flaws, and can I apply some tools? So it's very healthy, in this way and this is the way you remember in the 70s when this manifesto was presented to the magician, the magic class want to expose all of them. They were saying, oh, these people is crazy, they are saying the magic is no good. How the magic cannot be good? We are part of this magic. And they were creating a lot of disturbance because they want to change. And I think now it's the same, like maybe we are used to Vernon school, Escuela Mágica de Madrid school, through Tamariz or Ascanio, or through Camilo Vázquez, and many other magicians, and now maybe there are some people who are thinking something new, and it's very healthy, and it's keeping the magic going forward, no?
Absolutely, and obviously it's good that we're always developing and learning from the people before us. I wanted to ask a little bit about maybe for people who are new to the idea of the Spanish School of Magic. Obviously, I know this is books and years of conversation, but it's very hard to put into words what makes the Spanish School of Magic different, or watching Spanish magic, different than watching American magic. Do you have a way to put that in, maybe a way that you understand it or see it?
I try. Being Argentinian, that makes me, I have a different vision, because in Argentina the impact and the tradition of the American magic is very strong. Through Vernon, Slidini, and all the new generation like Daril, Michael Amar, and many others came to Argentina and influenced Argentina with an American, a style of visual magic and strong magic, and all these things that make American magic great.
Yeah.
At the same time, Tamariz came in '74 and introduced many concepts about how important is the effect, how important are the motion, the symbolism. Of course, it's not all Tamariz ideas. It's Tamariz plus Ascanio plus many others, even Vernon, an American school. But I will say Tamariz because he was the voice. In 1981, Ascanio came to Argentina and also was a revolution. But let's say what makes different for me Spanish school is they dedicate a lot of time to meditate in the effect, the symbolisms, the emotions, and the structure, to make the magic very strong in your head. It's not only visual, but it's killing you in your head. They are using a lot of psychological tools. They are, manipulating your memory. They are making you feel emotion that at the end, the whole experience is killing you, let you, without voice. when everybody see Tamariz and now Danny Da Ortiz or Woody Aragon, you feel this, like they kill you one time after the other. And I think this is the product of the Escuela Mágica de Madrid. Is like they took out the focus on the slates and the method, and they put the focus, of course. Vernon used to say the effect is the most important. It's nothing new, but they put it in practice, and they were going deeper and say, okay, the effect. But which kind of effect? Which one? Which is the phenomenon behind the effect? The symbolism of this effect. What this creates in the public, and how can I use this in my advantage? And then they understood, okay, but we can, the people remember what they see, but we can edit this memory and we can, recapitulate at the end and tell the people what to remember, and all these kind of tools that make the magic very strong if you use them, no? And you can see all these tools in Arturo Ascanio's book and in Tamariz's new book, The Magic Rainbow, no? Like I recommend everybody who want to understand a little bit about the Escuela Mágica of Madrid and the thinking of the Spanish school, they should read these books, Ascanio, and Tamariz, and Dani Ortiz, and Woody Aragon, of course.
Of course, and I think you captured the part that I really wanted to hear, is the part about, that it's about the focus is on the emotions and the focus is on the feeling and even as well the intellectual side. But I keep envisioning, the visual from the Magic Way and thinking about how that is very representative of the Spanish School of Magic, in the sense that the care is placed so heavily on the journey that the spectator goes through in watching and experiencing the effect and the magic.
Yeah, in one sense, it's not the complete truth, it's partial, because, of course, you will find Arturo Ascanio talk about the magic atmosphere and how through the technique, when you do it properly and you do it invisible, and the spectator doesn't have any feeling of something happened, and they get the news of that there is a method or there is something when the effect is already done, and they say, oh, what is the cause of this? I didn't see nothing. And after, creating this, way of doing the techniques, and it create the magic atmosphere, no, as Canio call. And then you have Camilo Vasquez, who understand through the structure, how to structure the tricks in a way like you can reach to the greatest climax of the magic. So in the Magical School of Madrid, there are many, different ways, but in one sense, everything is through what the spectator is feeling through the journey of magic. From the moment they see the magician as a guide and as a communicator, guiding through the way, how they see the magic in the different point of view, and to how what they see, how they affect it, and what this effect creates in them, and making all this process emotional. No? And I think if Arturo Ascanio were alive, and of course, when you see Camilo Vasquez card in the bottle, everything is so emotional, no? He doesn't find the card, he starts looking in the pocket, you are telling, oh, what is going on? And this guy is taking things from the pocket, and everything becoming so, absorbed in one moment. And then finally, he take a bottle of whiskey, scotch, and everybody say, oh, this guy is drunk, or what is going on? And then he takes some piece of, a steel from the pocket, very heavy. And finally, the card is in the bottle, and you feel the emotion of, first, oh, something wrong happened. Then, what is wrong with this guy? Is he crazy, taking out from the pocket? Is he very nervous? Then you see a scotch, bottle, and then there is a card inside, and then you feel the emotion of impossible suspense, opening the bottle. I mean, everything is very emotional. So in this sense, there is a trip, when you see Arturo Ascanio, of course he was not a performer, but for the point of view of a magician, when you saw him, how he moved the hands and how delicate he was and how careful he was with all the technique he chose. There is a journey, looking through him, how he feel the magic, how he pay attention to the gesture, and they know exactly the magic is going on, and they knew the magic is going on in the moment where the effect is going on, and not in the moment of the method is going on. And all the things all together, we can say, of course, there are different little variation in the way they think. All of them, they understood where the magic is a journey. We need to create a magic atmosphere or a magic rainbow or whatever you want to call. and they put a lot of emphasis in this, and this create results.
Wow. That's very helpful to see a little bit more deeply about what that means. I wanted to ask you something about the audience difference, because we talked about how magic is different in different parts of the world, both how it's interpreted, and we talked about how magic is performed differently in different schools of magic. And just for an example, at Magi Fest, I watched Tamariz on stage do an ambitious card, and it was the most incredible thing ever. And he put the card in the middle of the deck, and it took him like 4 minutes to put the card in the middle of the deck, and we're all on the edge of our seat about it. And something about it tells me that if I tried to do that here, people would look at me and say, like, get on with it already, or what is he doing? Or so is that, a factor of my not understanding and emulating the school of magic? Or is there is there a way that maybe the audience are different here because they've been trained to watch different magic?
If we talk about specifically about the ambitious routine of Tamariz, I may say, because I know a little bit about the background of this routine, how it was created, and the inspirations, from where he got the inspiration to do it. And I can say, like, Dai Vernon used to do a version of ambitious card with 9 phases. And Tamariz always put this ambitious card of Dai Vernon as a example of how the magic has to be very emotional. And he emphasized the different emotions you are feeling through the routine. So it's not strange for the magic culture in America to have a long routine about a card, putting a card in the middle and coming to the top, because the repetition of this effect is what creates, every time you are doing is getting better and better, and you are mixing every phase with a different kind of emotions. I can say that sometimes the problem of doing long routines with a lot of, time involved, 15 minute, 20 minute, 18 minute routine, like in Tamariz is very normal, but in American magic it's not so often. The problem about doing long routine is about they don't have a lot of variation in the emotions. Let's say they only have surprise or suspense for one point of view. So what makes different Tamariz magic, I can talk about, this is all my opinion. I don't want to make judgment, and I don't want to say this is the truth. Whatever I talk about the Escuela Mágica of Madrid, or whatever I talk Tamariz, is my opinion of being with him, but I can be wrong, of course. But my opinion is what makes difference in a long routine of ambitious card for 20 minutes, like he's doing in the theater, is you are feeling different emotions all the time. And in the last 2-3 years, when I show a trick to Tamariz, he always asks me the same question. Which are your emotional script? Do you have an emotional script? Means, do you have a script for your emotion? Do you know which emotion the spectator is feeling all the time? Are you conscious about this? Before, he never asked me this question, and now he's asking me this question all the time. So I can understand, and he says in his lecture, like magic is like in the cinema, emotions in motion. Magic is also a concert of emotions. So when you understand magic is a concert of emotion, then you can apply it to any routine. Doesn't matter the public, because the public want to feel emotions. They go to cinema to feel emotions. They go to Disney World for say something to feel the emotions. I remember when I went there, I was like crazy, running from one place to other, running and searching and looking for the emotions all the rides produced to me. Many based on adrenaline, but many of them not. When you go to this is a wonderful world, and you are in a boat, and you connect with your childhood, and then create a lot of emotion, no? And then I was trying to understand why I'm so hooked to all these things. And when you go, I always say the same. When you go to Disney, in the door they say, "Let the memory begins." Because what they sell you there is not one day ride. Because if you go to Disney, you will go only for 5-6 hours, nothing more. But you can talk about this all your life. And what is important about this? What makes the park so memorable? And I think what makes the park memorable are the emotion that it produces. Because make you connect with your childhood, create fear, create expectation, the sense of an adventure, the sense of, For example, the unknown, when you go to that ride, you don't know what's going to happen. Expectation, challenge, a fight, or a new discovery. I don't know, many things. You can, write down a lot of emotion, depend on you and how sensible you are to feel them, no? And this is the same when you are talking about a routine of ambitious car for 20 minutes. If you are conscious on how to feel the different emotions, then I can say, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I can say you can do this routine in every part of the world. And in fact, Tamariz was doing this routine in every part of the world.
I think a lot of what you're saying, which is really interesting, is about the texture of the magic, and it is true that when you see a long routine, you often are seeing the same thing over and over and over again. And maybe the only thing that changes, even if that, is the difficulty seeming of the method, to maybe the conditions that it seems like. But oftentimes that doesn't change how the emotions are. It's not, I love that phrase, concert of emotions, and also that idea of an emotional script. When we're writing a script, we think very much about the words we're saying. If you've been doing it a long time, you think about how the words that you're saying, interact with the actions that you need to take, and then you keep going down. But that one is a really great thing to write into the script and say, at each moment, do you know how your audience should be feeling?
Oh, this is great. When I heard it from Tamariz, for me it was a revelation. I heard this many years ago, but still I'm trying to figure it out. Still I'm trying to apply. Sometimes yes, sometimes not. But at least I have the consciousness. The people is feeling some emotion, even if you are conscious or not. Even if you want to produce them or not, the people is feeling things. The more conscious you have about these feelings, and the more you can script these feelings, you can provoke this feeling, the greatest and more artistic your magic become. Because I think the artistic part of the magic, as I heard from Juan, is the emotions you create through the language of magic, not through, the pattern of the story. Otherwise, you are creating emotion and you're doing art through the language of the, storytelling, or I don't know. But if you have to find out how to create emotion through the language of magic, through the effects and the phenomena and the articulation of these phenomena, and how do you put them together, and how you change the conditions to create different emotions. So this is something to think about. Maybe many of us, we are not there yet. We need to learn more. We need to understand more the craft. But at least we know about it. We heard about them. And sometimes we are slower, but we are trying to, provoke them in some way. The story about this routine is very funny because it's backing up all what I was saying. Because for many years I was studying Michael Kloss material. He's a great magician and a great source of inspiration in many ways. And I think this routine of the frog is a really classic, a modern classic in card magic. Was very popular in the 90s. In the end of the 90s, but now it's not so popular at all. I don't know why, I cannot understand. But it has a component that is very great for public, and it's the frog is alive. You have to make the frog alive. You have to put a name, you have to communicate with it, you have to I have a story for the frog, how you make relationship with the frog, and this create emotion in the public and become very interesting. And when we do for magician, we think, magician already know this is a frog of cards, so we are not going to play with it, and you are killing the effect. And when Michael Kloss saw this routine, he wrote me, and he said, I'm very happy you are keeping the frog alive, because this was the spirit. And the reason I'm keeping this frog alive is because, when you see Juan Tamariz, el cochecito, or the little car, this cochecito of Tamariz is alive, man. This cochecito is moving, is talking, is feeling, and the frog is also alive. For me, the frog has a name, has a background, he has a place in my house. It's very important for me. And I have a relationship with the frog. And this, when you understand this, then I think the magic can be more strong emotionally talking. Plus, then, you have a variation of the effect or something new for the magician that I think is very nice and it's okay, but the most important is you keep the frog alive, you create emotion through the frog. And this is a lesson I learned when Michael Kloss wrote to me, and he appreciated that. And I say, of course, I'm doing this because I read from you, and I'm trying to follow your, what you talk to me, and you touch me in your book.
it becomes clear when you're talking about emotion, but a lot of it comes about as me thinking of maybe not the word playful, but I'm thinking about, like the idea of magic that's in the public's eye or was in our eyes when we're very young. I think in the magic that I see that doesn't have a lot of these ideas, it's lost, right? That the feeling, the emotion, that the audience goes through when you say whatever, this frog, is alive, and you tell a story of a frog or of a car, or you say like, I have a little tiny fairy who flies in and grabs the ball and puts it in my pocket. All these different things which we, maybe once thought were magical, we grow up and somehow we lose it all, and then the trick becomes, I'm going to put the card in the middle, and then it's going to be on the top. And now there's nothing for people to connect to. There's nothing that gives the joy, which is, usually the reason why we got into magic in the first place, is because of those fantastical and playful ideas.
Yeah, everything you say is so right. I have the great fortune, and sometimes was a little heavy for me, but because I grew up with Tamariz. Tamariz is very famous for making many questions. When you show him something, he asks you a question. Many questions now, but at the beginning it was one question. You do a trick to him, and he always asks to you, what is the effect? And then you start describing, no, I put the card in the middle, then I cut 2 times, the spectator touched 3 times, he say a number, no. He say, no, which is the effect? This is a racing card, an ambiguous card, which effect, and which phenomenon? And most of the time I realized I never thought about it. I never thought about the effect. I never thought about what the people is seeing and what I want the people to see. And because all the time I did a trick, he forced me to think all the time. Then I developed, through a lot of work and a lot of effort, a dissociation between the method and the effect. And I become very annoying with my friends, because every time a magician show me a trick, he want to talk me about the method. And I say, no, but let's discuss a little bit about the effect. Let the effect sink in my mind to understand what I just saw, to understand what you want me to show, what you want to show me, and then let's discuss about the method. And I become very annoying, and many magicians hate me because I say, one moment, let's talk about the effect. And I feel so sorry for them, because sometimes I become like crazy. But I developed this, sense of seeing the magic as an effect. And I don't like people to explain me the explanation of the method. I don't like this. I learned never to ask how it's done, and to try to live as much as possible. Of course, I have my limitations. To live the effect. How great. How was this? How good was, how the emotion. And then I saw, and I learned from many magicians, but especially from Juan, talking about Fraxon and other magicians, how they live the effect, how they dissociate the method from the effect, and they understand, okay, I did all the method already, but now become the effect. Especially when you do card across or coin across, already you are two times ahead, 2 coins ahead, or 3 cards ahead, and you think, okay, now this card passed, the other passed. No, you have to leave, you have to look in the air, make the gesture, visualize the card, feel the card, because when you are feeling this card and you are, living the magic in the moment, then you are transmitting this emotion, and the people can feel it, and then everything become different. Everything become real, People start experiencing the real magic. I don't know. They say this. They can swear, I saw the card flying. Understand? This is what creates and make the magic greater. When you can see with your eyes, like the spectator is seeing. I understand now the magic is happening and want to feel it. But this is, you have to force it. You have to say, no, I need to see the effect. Which effect is this? Which phenomenon? And then I learned something it's incredible. I do it all the time. When I read a book, for example, you read the effect, and immediately you jump to the method. But I understand, and I learned in Spain, first you read the effect, and then you meditate, see the effect, and try to visualize in the best condition, which effect is this? How with the best condition you can do this effect. And if you decide, do I like it, or I don't like this effect, or yes, I like it, or it's a strong effect, or it's not a strong effect. And then after that, when you see the effect you are reading in the best condition, trying to figure it out, how is possible can be done this? Is it possible, is it not possible? And then after this, then you just read the method in the book. Then this is a process, and help you to cultivate the imagination and trying to to force the mind to always go to the effect, no? Like, when you have the bees and the flies always go to the dirty stuff, no? And the bees go to the nectar, go to the flower. So you have to train your mind to be like a bee and always be attracted to the effect and not be attracted to the method, because the method really is not the most important. The most important is the effect. So your mind already flies to the, looking for the flowers and looking for the best flower, not for the flower or any flower. No, I want the best flower. I want the lotus flower. I want the rose. So you become expert looking and searching for great effects. And then when you have a great effect, then you can meditate what is the best method. I don't know if I'm I don't say something new. Everybody, I think, is doing the same, but this is how I learned, no? And I was trained like this.
I think as magicians, it's very difficult to try to separate even reading the effect and then figuring out the method. It's very hard to separate our love for clever and brilliant methods for, trying to see what the effect is. It's very hard to unsee. I had a teacher in high school who said something to me about a riddle. Someone said a riddle and someone else said, "You want me to tell you what it is?" And he said, as soon as you tell them what the answer to a riddle, they can never have that for them again. And I think as magicians, we oftentimes love that feeling of learning a new method and going, aha. But the problem is we can never have that moment again where we get that effect to its full, its full emotional joy, its full impactful joy, because we think about the method. So I think that's a really good strategy, to read the effect and don't read the method and just think about it for a second and feel about it and say, like, is that an effect I would want to do? Is that an effect that feels as impossible as I would want, or so on and so on. And then you can look and see if you enjoy the method.
Yeah, for me, it's a reality. I grew up like this and I learned like this. And I'm very happy with this approach. Maybe there are other approaches. Sometimes a method comes to your mind first, and then you need to look for an effect. But this, you need to know a lot of magic to do this. It's not like I don't recommend this process for beginners. That they learn a method, they want to apply it. Maybe some of them they can, of course. But for me, it's always difficult to approach a magic first with effect. Sometimes I have some examples. But for example, I can say a routine. I publish a trick. The name is Signs. And it's like a prediction of 3 cards freely chosen by the public. And I have a great method. And I start doing to magician, and everybody start getting crazy. And they say, no, you have to publish, they have to publish. And then they force me to publish, and I published. And it was very well received by many magicians. I was okay and good. But then I showed to Tamariz, and Tamariz told me something I never thought about. And was so shocked in the moment. No, I remember he saw my face. He apologized to me. He said, I'm sorry for telling you this. Because he told me something and I didn't even think. I never even, he told me, you are doing this gesture. And I think when you are doing this, I thinking you are doing this, method or these things. I was not doing this, but it looked like I was doing this. And then he told me, but why you have to touch the cards? Can you do it without touching the cards? And I say, no, Juan, if I do without touching the cards, I have to change the method. And told me, and change the method. What is the problem of changing the method? If you can do it without touching, is better or not? And I say, yes. And he said, but I cannot do it because I have this great idea, this wonderful method. I said, yes, but this wonderful method for me look very bad, and it look much better if you do without touching the cards. Can you do that? I said, I don't know, I will try. And then he left to Spain, and then after 2 months, I got the method. And now I do the same trick without touching the card. But all my great idea of putting the palm in the cards, putting the card in the lap, adding the card to the deck, all went to hell. Because now I'm not doing this effect anymore. I cannot do it because I'm betraying myself, because I know I can do it without touching the deck. And this we have to be very disattached. Disattachment is the key for advancing in magic. When you are too much attached to a method, this is like, when you have a boat, and what is the name of in Spanish is ancla.
An anchor.
Yeah, you have an anchor, and this anchor is, you are attached to this method. And you want to, you can do the effect look great with this method, and you can change the conditions all the time. But the point is, you have to be disattached. You have to rise the anchor, and you have to be ready to move forward, and to improve. And to disattach from the method, to the new method, if you want to make the effect look great. And this is very hard sometimes. because you feel, oh, this method is my son, my pet. I want to take care of it. I'm so proud. But you have to be proud of the effect. If you have to change the method, you have to go for it.
I used to think about an editor, a movie editor, and how much they have to leave not in the movie. But I actually think now that it's even more than that, because in Magic, you could make the whole movie, you could make the whole method, and then work on it for 5 years or 10 years, and then look back and say, I have to scrap the whole thing, right? The whole thing is gone. It's not just a bit of it or a piece of it or something. You say, yeah, the whole thing is gone. And then you have an updated new version to do it again. And that's a very interesting story. It sounds like you were pressured to release the effect a little bit because of the way that things are in the Magic community. I want to talk a little bit about in a second about releasing effects and maybe how you feel about how that stuff is going on. But I wanted to first sort of talk a little bit more about the effects itself. I know that you mentioned how Tamariz would read, all of the versions of his trick, and he would maybe start with the original version that he read and then move forward. And I know that you talk about classics and modern classics and things like that. Tell me a little bit about the journey that it goes from finding a trick where the effect excites you to making it something that is yours or your own, or not for the sake of selling, but for the sake of performing, that's your own. What's that process like? What are some of the steps that you go through to, wake up and aliven an effect in your hands?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I remember last September I was in Spain, and I was having a discussion with a great magician there. His name is Pipo Villanueva. Sometimes we have some difference in approaching the magic. I think his magic is very strong, very direct, and his personality is great. And we discuss a lot about magic. And I was asking to him the same question you are asking to me. And I can say every person has a different approach and a different journey. And my journey, I can talk about my journey, and I'm not saying this is what you have to do, or this is what is right and the other is wrong. So I want to make clear of this, because sometimes I talk with a lot of passion and it looks like, oh, this is the truth, but I feel very, very small. When I think about magic, I feel very small. Really, magic is very deep and great. So to talk about my journey, let's talk about some of the tricks I developed and how they work out for me, because some of them was a happy discovery and some of them was product of a long meditation. For example, when I talk about Total Recall, for example, this is a memory routine I released in 2012. Unfortunately, I did it in Spanish, and the translation in English didn't turn out so good because it was a voiceover and was many complaints about it. But the routine, I grew up with this routine, because I remember in the year 1995, we saw a magician doing a memory routine. And we were so inspired, we created a group in Argentina to look for a method. Then I came up with the method of Laurie Island, memorizing the 10th, 20th, 30th, and 40th card. And then I started a trip, through 15 years. Because in this structure of memorizing 4 cards only, I create a complete routine, a memory act of 13 minutes. And I study all the method. I study Mo move a card, how Mo apply. I studied Tamariz's approach, many approaches, and then I came up with a routine. I'm very proud, and every time I do it for magician, it's very strong. And then after doing for 15 years this routine, or 12 years, Burnett asked me to record, and when I sit down with real public, real audience, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the routine because this routine was designed for an informal session with magicians. And then I had to realize, after studying everything and creating a structure and showing to magician, then I cannot do for public because I didn't think about the timing of the routine, the rhythm of the routine, how to make the routine memorable, how to make the routine entertaining, and how to make the routine emotional. So then all these things started to know. It took me 3-4 years to think about all these things. So for me, the magic is a journey of understanding when you like an effect, looking for the method, trying to apply the method in a structure that one method cancel the other one. And then after you have a structure that is neat, then you need to think about how to make this entertaining, how to make this attractive, interesting, and emotional. So this is the process I do. But if I talk about, for example, the matrix I do, this was the first trick I created. I just came up to my mind one day, why I don't do the matrix like this? And it's a very powerful routine. But I didn't think about the method. I didn't study any other matrix. At that point, I only knew one or two matrix. And if I talk about the open prediction, that many magicians consider is one of very good method they think about, I also, I don't know how this happened. Happened in a moment. I was proving some stuff, and then they say, I will try this with open prediction. And I didn't even knew many methods of open prediction. So we have to make a difference what is a happy discovery that many of us happen in our life. We have this happy discovery. And what is when you take a routine, like the effect, study the different method and approach, create a folder with all the versions, read them all, and then try to create a structure, how to cancel off the method with one another, and then create the emotion script, the entertaining script, and all these things. This is two different processes. And if you want to get results, the last process I talked, the longest one, is the best if you want to create good result always. I don't know if this answers your question or not.
What's cool about it is not only, the second one was really what I assumed the answer was going to be, as in I assumed it would be, some of these steps that we went through. But I really like that you mentioned, that it is totally possible and common that you could discover something with serendipity. You just realize something, and all of a sudden the pieces start to fit together, and it doesn't take 15 years of repeated analysis, but it maybe takes 5 years, right? Or 3 years or whatever, because the new thing is staring at you in the face, and you're not maybe building something entirely from the ground up. So
I have two examples of this. Sorry, forgive me for interrupting you.
Yes.
I have two examples of this in the tricks I do. One is the frog, because the frog I was doing it the original version for many years. And I remember once in 2007, I came to Madrid to my house, and was one magician staying with us. His name is Lorenzo. And Lorenzo said, it would be nice to do this trick with a signed card. And when he told to me this, he shot in my head, he put the virus. And I remember I developed the method for doing the frog sign immediately. What I didn't have was the routine. And I remember I showed to my friend and great magician Iñaki Zabaleta, who is living in China now and doing a lot of shows there. And he told me, this is very good, but very difficult. And I lost my inspiration, and I left the effects for many years in the drawer. And one day pop up in my mind, I have this idea. And immediately I create the routine. But from the thinking the method in 2007, 2008, until 2011, I developed the whole routine, or 2010, passed many years. Understand what I mean? So the method came instantly, but the routine took me many years. This is one example of one trick, like the method came immediately. And the routine took me a lot of years, because it's very complex, how to make the routine in a way nobody expects what is going to happen and become as a surprise at the end. This was very difficult. But the yarn, for example, the yarn is the sign bill in the ball of yarn. I remember I was watching the show of Pablo Sanata, and Pablo Sanata was doing a version of the bill in the yarn, and I never saw this effect before in my life. I never saw the sign bill in the ball of yarn. So I saw the effect, and immediately, in the moment, like you say, serendipity, this is like something happened out of nothing. Immediately I developed the concept, immediately. Then I had to refine the method. Took me 1 year to refine, to make it better, practical, or whatever you want to say. But the method, the idea came immediately. And I create this trick only for him and not for me. I never did this trick. And I put in a drawer, because I didn't see him for a long time. And after this, now I'm doing this effect in my show all the time, and I'm very proud. And he's not doing this effect. I create this effect for him, but he never even tried. And now it's part of my repertoire, and it's a funny idea. Because Bernette, Michel, who is one of my teachers, and I appreciate him. Michel is a great magician, one of the top 10 professionals in the world. He said, Manuel, are you crazy? This is a great idea. Why you are not doing it? I said, no, this is not good. He said, are you crazy? And now he convinced me completely, and I'm doing this trick all the time, in parlor, close-up, all the time. So, yeah, serendipity sometimes happen, but not very often, and not very often with great results. Sometimes yes, sometimes it's crap.
When you are deciding to learn a new effect to perform. And I'm bringing this up because I know that a lot of the times people people who are becoming a professional magician or who are making the transition, they at some point don't have a repertoire, right? And they have to look back to something and pick magic that they're going to spend. I mean, let's be real, they're going to spend 2, 3, 5, 10, years working on and doing. And of course, there's magic that we like. And I really like, reading the effect and finding an effect that resonates with you. But what do you do to look for magic that you think will fit? Like, why did you like the yarn? What criteria do you look for when you're looking to add new magic?
There are many ways. In my life, I had many ways. One way is looking magician performance, because they inspire me, not in the way of copying the effect or copying the style, but sometimes I say, oh, racing car, why I'm not doing a racing car, or why I'm not doing turn and return rope routine. So in this way I say, oh, this effect is great, I'm not doing, or the misery dream, or the card to an envelope. No, you see the trick and say, why I'm not doing this? And I see the trick in real condition, with audience, not with magicians. And I see the reaction of the people and say, why I'm not doing this effect? I'm stupid. And then I start the trip. No, I start in the researching for the effect, trying to, gathering all the method I know. And this is the point where the teacher come in, because I didn't read all. I don't know all the method. I don't know sometimes who invented this. So this is why when I go to Michel has 2,000-3,000, books, or Pablo Sanata, and they are my, I say to them, I want to do this effect. Can you help me with the bibliography? Can you tell me which book, which magicians? This is study your trip, you start learning the method. But sometimes happen, like when you choose a trick, a new method come to your mind, but this doesn't happen to everyone. And this is not really necessary. Really, creativity is okay in magic, but you don't need creativity to be a very good magician. Otherwise, tell me Fred Capps, he never create any new method. He never create nothing. He only do classics, very well execute, with a very great technique. But in one sense, he never create nothing. So creativity is not like you need to have creativity, but at least you need to know a little bit the effects. For example, I can tell you an example right now. I'm working in a sandwich routine. I was doing a sandwich routine for many years in 3 phases, and now I want to do my own version. So because I know the effect is great, I had great result in the audience, I'm looking to create a new routine with different conditions. So it's 2 years I'm working in this, because I not decided yet which kind of line of effect I want to follow. I know I want the card to appear in the middle of 2, jokers, but I don't know exactly if I want the card to move in between or the jokers to move to catch the card. I didn't decide yet exactly what I want, but I have a great method inspired by another magician, Spanish magician, who is one of my favorites, Ramon Riobó. And I know I want to do this, and I know I want to do one version in the middle I design, but I didn't realize well the first version and the first phase and the second phase, and so I'm working on it, and it's 1.5 years I'm working on it. I already know I want this effect. I already know, I didn't know exactly which kind of effect or phenomenon I want from this effect, but I'm working on it. The moment my mind clear and I decide for something, then I go and I put all my weapons in it, and I will try to analyze all the versions, analyze all the possibilities. If I can create something new, welcome to the club. Otherwise, I will use whatever is best. No, I don't care.
I love that. That is so important. That last thing you said is, if I can create something new, great. But if what I want is already there, and all I have to do is find it, that's great too. And also, one of the things that I want to highlight is, just because you are finding something that existed already does not mean that you're not working on it. To some people, it might sound like what I'm saying now is take an effect and do someone else's trick the way that they do it. And it's not. What I'm saying is to do all of the research, like you're talking about, to search for what you're looking for. And if you find it in the book, that is a win. That's not a lose, right? That's a win. That means that someone else created it and there's so much knowledge more about it, instead of it feeling like, oh, someone else came up with this. Now I can't. Now I shouldn't do it. Now I'll have a different thing.
No, I completely agree. I love to see different versions of magicians. I have a lot of source of inspiration. I'm trying to look the possibilities that this effect and this approach to the effect create in my mind, and how using different tools I can create something, at least, I don't say better, because it's very difficult to do something better than someone's, but at least unique and personal. To put something personal. And I can say there is a motto that Gaby Parera says. I heard in Spain last trip, and it really, I don't know if I should say it or not, because it can be controversial in one sense. But I like it because, how to say, keep me thinking all the time. He say, sometimes it's better to do it worst, but do it personal, no? To ruin something, but to own it, no? To make your own approach, even if it's worse, than to make, better approach, but it's someone else. And I agree in some part of this, in the sense, there is something there that's very attractive to me. And, since I get maturity, I am 42 years old, and I had, the ideas in my head are more clear. Not ideas in magic that, I'm talking about in general. Even if my ideas are right or wrong, I have the idea more clear. So it's more easy for me to express many things, I think. So I try to analyze this, this phrase Gaby Parera was telling in this concept. No? When you have your ideas very clear, what you want to say about your life, how you want to say about the world, your vision, then you have the need to make the trick more personal. And sometimes in the when you are searching for your personal presentation of a trick, of course you have to be very careful not to ruin the effect, because the effect is the language. The magic is the language you are using, and you cannot, misuse this language or ruin this language. But sometimes with the need of being more personal, sometimes the magic, the trick can be a little worse, but at least can be more personal. This can happen. And it's something to think about it. Although I'm not completely 100% sure, this kept me thinking for the past 3-4 months, no? And how to make your magic more personal, what this magic can tell about you, and all these things, no?
It's a really helpful statement, whether or not you believe it 100% or not, and me too. But it's a very helpful statement because one of the thoughts that crosses, I know, not only my mind, but many magicians' mind, is you look at an incredible trick and you look at, the magician who did it and created it and made it so perfect. And you take, let's say, a Vernon trick, and then you what could I possibly do to make Triumph better? Right? And it's that line of thinking that makes nobody work on Triumph. Now, obviously, people are working on Triumph, but I'm saying, it's that line of thinking that makes someone not try to make it their own or personal or different or unique or anything like that. And who knows? I agree with you. I don't know if a new version or this version of that is better than the original, but sometimes it's just better because you did it, or it's just better because it's more related to you. And that's not even related to, like you were saying, the emotional part and, it relating to you personally. That's not even relating to that. Just in the sense of the method, even that is, at least it's yours, and obviously you can make a shitty method that it's not worth being yours to be a shitty method. It still has to be awesome. But yeah, I do think about that all the time when I look at an old effect, a classic, and I say, what could I possibly add to this trick, that is worth seeing, or at the very least hasn't been thought about by someone way smarter than I am, So I do like that. I do like the approach to say that, sometimes you can ruin it a little bit, but making it yours,
Yeah, all glories to Gaby Parera, no? Gaby Parera always make me think, no? Every time he talks, it's like an earthquake in my mind. So I appreciate, but it's very funny you mentioned the Triumph, because when we were in Magi Fest and you were there, we all heard Howard Hamburg, and he was talking, and I appreciate how I love his lecture was very, I love him, and he said, if the two packet version of the Triumph is good for Vernon, is enough for me also, no? And he was trying to take care of the tradition, and Vernon was doing this for a reason and all these things. And I was thinking about Daryl and many others who make a lot of piles, and different approach. But I think, of course, some people, destiny is to keep the tradition and to keep, the classic alive. And some other destiny is to ruin the classic, to have some time to build something new, no? And so sometimes you have to play with it. You have to, go to the ground and play with the mud and get dirty to have something new sometimes, or to have something better. So this is one thing, I was thinking about, and the two things have to be there, no? Or we respect the classic and we do it and we try to understand the classic and why they work and why they are so great. But at the same time, magic has to evolve. Things has to go forward. And the page of history is turning for everyone and everything. And whatever today is great, tomorrow will be just the first part of the chain, no? And we evolve and go forward and forward. And for many people, you are killing the effect. But you have to go forward, sometimes magic go forward. So Tamariz always say to me, and he's very, he has higher standards. Whatever he creates has to be something good. He doesn't create for the sake of creating. And for example, when he does a classic and he puts something new in the classic, he always very careful to see what this classic need, and if I can put something new, I consider it's an improvement. Otherwise, I don't consider improvement, no? And you have to be conscious of this. I know in this classic, I'm putting this small thing, like maybe it's lacking this classic because of the time, the culture, the situation, and the techniques. Okay, I'm putting this thing in the classic, like for example, in the ambitious routine, when you fold the card and the last phase, when you do this folding, Tamariz say, okay, I don't fold the card. The spectator is folding the card. No, these little, things I'm putting in the routine. He's going the magic forward, and he knows. And sometimes he puts something very good, but it's not good enough as the original, and he keep doing this, but he knows it's not better. Understand? You have to be conscious. This is better, this is not better. Understand? Because otherwise, if you don't understand what you are doing is ruin it or doing better. You have to understand, but this doesn't have to be doesn't have to stop you to do it, no? To experiment, to try to see, what people think and like and appreciate.
I think what you just said there about having to understand also plays a very big role, because there is a time in someone's magic career to take classics and start moving them forward. And I don't want to tell anybody how that they should or shouldn't, but you do need a certain amount of knowledge and study under your belt before you start taking an effect and saying, oh, I'm going to do this and this and this, only because there are principles of magic, right, which you could be not following because you don't know them yet or you haven't learned them yet.
No, yes, it's great. I mean, look, I learned from Michel. No, Michel has a system. And I recommend this system to everyone. He called the system the folder. When he wants an effect, he starts researching the effect. And I saw him too much into it for months and months. For example, we did a seminar in Argentina, the card stuff. So for the card stuff, he researched more than 80 versions. 80.
Wow.
So he, went to the book, scanned all the versions, put it in a digital folder, studied all the versions, and then choose the best one for him. After choosing the best one for him, then trying to make it personal. This is a process can take a lot, but imagine how much you learn in the process. This is why it's so important, the Magic Club, the Magic Societies, the group like Escuela Mágica of Madrid or other groups that can help you, like you have a mentor there. You can go and ask, hey, I want to do racing car. Can you help me with all the versions? And the people say, oh, you should read this book, that book. Then you go to the book. Then you photocopy this version or you scan the version, you put in a folder. Then you read them all. All this process needs someone to help you. How you can know all the versions? How you can know where to read? You need the help of someone. And this is why it's so important for the beginners to go to the society, but also for the advanced magician to make a sacrifice, go to the societies and trying to help the fellows, new magicians, and trying to teach them and trying to guide them. Because this is what makes magic greater, no? When you think about, how I'm going to help the other guy, already passed through all these austerities to understand and to read and to buy books. Okay, let's try to help someone who is new. Oh, read this book, read that book, go this version, read that version. Make a copy for them, give to them, no? Because otherwise you become very selfish, no? There is a term in Sanskrit I learned in India. You become kripana. If you don't distribute the knowledge, you become kripana. And kripana means selfish, and you become stingy. I know something, I don't give to anyone. I keep for myself. I keep only for me. And then you become stingy. You develop this mentality. Like I learned something, and you see someone who is looking for this, and you don't tell to him. And this is crazy for me. I mean, I'm sorry to be so strong in this, and I understand people who like secrecy and don't tell nothing. I understand them, and I appreciate them. But for me, it is in one sense, if you have your group and you have your circle or your society, you need to also how to share and the knowledge. You can keep for some time. I have many tricks I do for fellow magicians to share with them, but I never teach these tricks because I'm using them to trying sometimes yes, sometimes not to make them feel some magic sometimes. Sometimes yes, sometimes not, but I don't share the secret. But in due course of time, you have to share. You have to, how to say, tell the people. No, I don't know. This is my opinion. I'm sorry to be so strong.
I agree with you for sure. And one of the things that you said in there is that you have to know where you've been before you know where you can go. So you're looking at an effect, and you need to learn all of the different versions of the effect, or as many as you can, or learn as much as you can about it. And I also love what you said about having to share and having to pass it on. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because you're talking about so many other magicians, and you're talking about them with such high regard and such high levels of respect. And that's something that I think we see a little bit more of in the Spanish School of Magic. We don't see it happening. Obviously, there's respect in magic, particularly for some of the forefathers of magic, but we don't see people talking about magicians with the same respect as it sounds like you do. And it sounds like it's of great importance. Can you talk a little bit about that, and maybe what some, I don't want to say North American magicians, but maybe what some North American magicians can learn about respect in magic?
Oh my God. I think first I need to say there are many magicians, especially in the old days, that they respect and talk about the senior magician, the predecessors before, and this is something not unique from a School of Magic of Madrid. Let's say like this, but let's say like the new generation, because sometimes of misinformation, lack of information, of learning the tricks from and not from the earlier version, but from the latest version. Sometimes they have the lack of information, and they cannot appreciate the real creator of this idea or the evolution of the idea through course of time, because they don't know, they don't have the information. It's very difficult. So let's say I learned this thing of respecting I don't know how to say in English, predecessors.
Predecessors.
Predecessor in magic. I learned more in the Indian culture and in the Eastern culture. Like whatever you do is due to the mercy and to the love and to the teachings of your predecessors, not to the teachers. So I learned this from an early age, from when I was 17, 18 years old. So for me, it's very important to always pay respect to the people who taught me and who share with me, because I think without them I can do nothing, I cannot learn nothing, and there will be nothing. I always say the same. I spent a lot of time with Tamariz personally, but this doesn't make me nothing special, because all the knowledge of Tamariz is out there. You can learn from him through his books, and you can know even much more than me about Tamariz. The only thing I know him as a person, and I spend time with him, but the knowledge is out there, and everybody can learn, and everybody can understand him. So the point is, you need to respect your predecessors, whoever teach you. You need to look for who create this and trying to appreciate him. This is culture, no? And this make you feel always grateful. When you feel grateful and you appreciate the other, this make the elder magicians, be pleased with you. And when the teacher are pleased with you, it's much easier to learn from them. This is what I learned in the Eastern culture, and this is what I can say about it. And I like to appreciate magician even if they are not senior than me. Sometimes junior magician can also be my teachers. Magician that start even after, long time after me, taught me a lot of things. And I very appreciate because I never thought about all these things. They start talking about in these new ways, and I say, oh my God, you're kicking my head. So I think we have to develop a little bit gratefulness through the teachers and to whoever writing a book is such an austerity, you never earn any money. It's, such a pain in the ass to write a book. I learned because I helped Tamariz in writing many books, and it's so difficult to write a book. So whoever write a book, you have to be very grateful, He published, he made the effort. This is my point of view. And I don't think it's something unique from Spain. Many people who are very, grateful to the predecessor. The only thing is sometimes you talk a lot about your predecessor and you become like a little obsequent, And you talk only about them, and this is annoying for the people in general, Imagine if I talk all the time about Dai Vernon and Tamariz teach me this, and Dai Vernon taught me that. And sometimes you need to talk a little bit, and sometimes you have to say, okay, I learn a lot from Vernon, I learn a lot from Tamariz, they are great teachers, and you need to talk about a little bit your approach and your ways, and because sometimes it become very annoying for people, Otherwise they say, okay, let me read Tamariz, why I want to hear this guy, Understand what I mean?
Right.
So you need to learn also to understand and to digest, when someone gives you something, you have to chew this knowledge for a long time. And then you need to digest, like the cow. And the cow has 7 stomachs. Then you digest 7 times the knowledge, and then the food come up to your mouth again. And in this moment, when you digest and it's in your mouth again, then you can talk about it because you pass through your own analysis, your own test. And this is why, and then you can do your own approach, how you see the stuff. But you need to digest first. Sometimes digestion is faster, sometimes not. For me, it took a lot of years because when I was living with Tamariz, I was living too much nearby him. I couldn't appreciate everything. And I remember he told me, Manuel, I don't want you to learn my tricks. I want you to learn the structure. I want you to learn the thinking behind this, but not the tricks itself. Don't do my stuff. And although I do some tricks of Tamariz because he is so prolific and he creates so many routines, or he doesn't use anymore. So I use few of his tricks. I try not to use his stuff, but to learn the thinking. And then from 2009 even to 2014, I didn't even have contact with him. I was alone trying to understand what happened to me, what happened, what I learned, how to apply all this. You need distance from the teacher and distance from the knowledge to make the knowledge sink in your brain, digest. And then I was, when you are paralyzed for many years, trying to understand what happened to me, I'm paralyzed. And then after many years, I start creating again, applying the concept, and then become very easy because when you have the knowledge digest, I don't say all the knowledge, some knowledge digest, it becomes easy to apply the knowledge practically. And then it's like a system you create. You understand the thinking of many guys, how they think, how they structure the magic, how they apply their own concept, and then you use this without thinking as a system already. You apply this way of thinking to everything you touch, and then become very easy. You can see this in many magicians. Why you say this incredible book, Aronson approach? Because of course, when you see Simon Aronson, he has his own approach to magic. And I was in his home 2 months ago in Chicago, and he killed me every time. And the approach was so great. And I understand he has an approach. He has a system he learned from many magicians, and he applies to all his tricks, and you can see, and this is the way I understand the things.
Before we get to, I have 2 bigger questions before we get to the wrap-up questions. The first is, I know that we talked a lot about Spanish magic and magic in Spain. I'm interested to know what's the difference between magic in Spain and what's the difference between magic in Argentina. I know that you mentioned that there's a lot of the North American influence in Argentina, but what else? What's the difference?
It's a good question, I can say. Argentinian magician has some. When I say Argentinian magician, I not include myself. although I have some of these, I'm not, how to say, a pure Argentinian magician in one sense. I lived many years in Spain and other countries. But I can say one good quality about Argentinian magician is they do everything. Before specializing in any, how to say, branch of magic, like card magic or coin magic or mentalism, they learn how to do manipulation. They learn how to do magic for kids. They learn how to do, how to say, parlor magic, then close-up magic. And then you can see, not all of them, but the top magician like Michel, for example, you can see Juan Pablo, or you can see Iñaki Zabaleta, for example, who is a great example to appoint this because he's now in China working in a hotel in the past 3 years and working in the circus. You know, Chinese circus is very, very high standards. When they hire a magician, they hire the best of the best. And he knows everything. He can do close-up, card magic, coin magic, mentalism. He can do parlor magic. He can do manipulation. He can do magic and style of American style or also in the Spanish style because he learned everything. And this is one thing I think the new magician has to understand if you want to learn magic. It's like when you go to university, especially to medicine career. At the beginning, you learn the basic of medicine, and then you specialize in something. Sometimes the young magicians specialize too early in some of the branch. And I don't say this is wrong. It's just something to think about, no? If you are in this area, just to make you think about, not to change. But sometimes it's better to understand the principles behind manipulation, mentalism, magic for kids, how everything works. And then you can say, you can specialize in something. For me, it's very clear because at the beginning I was specialized only in close-up. And I got many opportunities to go to the stage and I was frightened. And I didn't want to go to the stage because I was thinking the communication is so cold. I'm so away from the people. I cannot reach to them. And then for many years, I refrained doing parlor magic and stage magic. And then one year in 2000 and, I don't remember, 2000 something, Iñaki Zabaleta, who was living with me in Spain, told me, Manuel, I have 140 shows. I cannot do them all. It's a lot of money. You have to do it. It's parlor magic. Don't worry. We do a routine. You do it. And then I started doing immediately parlor magic. And because I applied all what I knew in close-up, immediately I started doing quite good. I mean, for being a beginner in parlor, I started doing and getting success. And then I understood, this is the same like doing close-up, but this is a different way of communication. I established the communication in a different way, and the timing for connecting with the people are different. In close-up is immediately. You enter and the people love you or hate you. In the parlor, you have to take your time. It takes 5 to 6 to 10 minutes to people to know if they like you or not, and to establish the connection. When I understood this, and when you apply the concept of close-up magic in the stage, and especially opposite, the concept of stage magic into close-up, you become a better magician, no? And this is a lesson I learned, and I learned late, not early, late, in the mid-30s, when I understood, how much time I lost because I didn't want to go away from my comfort zone, go to the stage, and learn into the stage. So if some of the young, listeners of this podcast are specializing too soon, it's great. Do it. Continue like this. But trying to analyze and experimenting in the other branch of magic, and especially the principle behind, and also the way of communicating in the parlor standard magic, no? Because you will apply this concept to your close-up magic, or opposite. You will apply the concept of close-up magic on the stage, like Tamariz one told me. Don't be afraid of doing stage magic. You just do close-up on the stage. And I was thinking he's crazy, but then I analyzed his shows, and he was right. He is doing close-up on the stage. And then I say, maybe I can do that, no? I can apply some concept of close-up on the stage. And then I became better magician than I was before, no? It's a great lesson I learned.
Wow, I like that. I love the idea of learning more before you specialize. And it's true, I do think people are specializing a little bit early. Everybody who's listening to this, who all want to dream about living with and working with Tamariz for years, one of the things that I keep hearing are different questions or different tactics or practices that he has when communicating with magicians to allow them to think more or go deeper. So I've heard many people tell stories of how, the version they have now of an effect is because Tamariz said to them, could you do it without touching the cards, right? Or could you, or so and so. And you mentioned different questions he asks, like what is the effect? Or, he asked you about not touching the cards and so on. So for somebody who is at home and wishing that they could learn with Tamariz, what are some of the maybe lessons or even simply the questions that they can ask themselves after they're working on an effect or during or whatever, to put them in that sort of mindset?
I can call it Tamariz treatment, no? Because after you go through Tamariz treatment, your magic is better 100%. First, I need to say, although I was many years with Tamariz and I'm a very close friend of him, I really, I don't have nothing special, not any special quality at all. It's only out of his, he was very kind to me since I was a child, of inviting me to associate with him personally. So when I say things in general, not because I'm some special chosen one by Tamariz. And again, I repeat, all the teachings of Tamariz are there in his books, in the 5 Points Magic, the Magic Way, and the Magic Rainbow, in Sonata, in mnemonics books, in verbal magic. You can read all this, and Tamariz spirit is behind these books, and you can understand him and learn a lot. But let's talk a little bit about the experience of being in personal association with him, in the sense of how is Tamariz treatment of an effect. I will say, in 2001, I went to a cruise. He invited me because Alan always traveled with him and performed with him. But this year, my grandfather passed away. Alan was trying to take care of his mother and the family. And he told Manuel, why don't you go with Juan to this cruise? So Tamariz kindly invited me with him, and I got the chance to perform with him. We did some sketch together, and we do some close-up together. And in one moment, he was sitting in a sofa, and he was doing magic for 100 people. Everybody was surrounded him. And some people couldn't see him, so he kindly asked me to do some magic for them. So I was sitting in another sofa in front of him with 40, 50 people, the rest who couldn't see him. And I was doing the show, and I was too much into it, because I was thinking, okay, Tamariz is busy. He's not looking to me, because I was ashamed. And I was so, scared I will do wrong, all these kind of stupid things. And I was doing magic, and I was so absorbed that Tamariz already finished his routine as he was looking to me, So I finished the show, and Tamariz came to me, and he said, I'm surprised. You are communicating very good. You are connecting with people very good. But I had one question to you. And I was thinking in my, young mind, he will ask me something, he will tell me how you are so good or something like that. I don't know. I was so stupid, and arrogant, and trying to get rid of this was so difficult. And Tamariz asked me, this trick you were doing at the end? And I said, yes, this is my ending for many years, coin across. Yes, can you explain me the effect? Which is the effect? And I remember I say, is this guy getting crazy or what? The effect is one coin travel from one hand to the other hand. And he said, yes, I understand this. Of course, I understand. It's one coin traveling from one hand to the other hand. But at the beginning, you have 2 coins in one hand and 3 coins in the other. And then 3 coins in one hand and 2 in the other. Then you say it's the woman who is attracting the coins. But then you say 1 coin is passing from one hand to the other. Then in the middle, you say you're going to explain the trick, and you put another coin in the middle, and you have 2 in one hand, 2 in the other, and 1 in the middle. I don't understand the progression. Can you explain to me? And I was shocked. I was speechless because I never thought about this. And I never thought. And then when he started pointing out all these things, not about the method, but only the effect, I feel shocked. I start feeling this cold, coldness in the back. I was shaking. I couldn't talk. And I said, you are right. I never thought about this. And in one moment, the climax of my close-up act, the coin across, was destroyed. Destroyed completely. I couldn't do it anymore. Because I opened, somehow or other, he opened my eyes to the reality I was doing. And I realized I never thought about this. I was shocked. So after 5 minutes, I couldn't even talk. And I was pallid. He told me, don't worry about it. Because this is very simple to solve. Let's discuss about the effect. So he told me, okay, why are you using 5 coins, 2 in one hand and 3 in the other? And he understood it's because the method. Because when I put the extra coin in the hand, if I had only one coin, the other coin will make sound. So I need 2 coins. So he told me, why you don't put a ring? Why don't you put the coin different colors? And we start discussing options, and we start thinking only about the effect. I can tell you, after 6 months, I have a different complete effect. So sometimes when you pass through the eyes of an expert, you have to be very, tolerant to the criticism. And this is not for everyone, because when you are too proud about your creation, it's very difficult to tolerate criticism and to be disattached. And for me, it was very hard. But then I realized, my routine is better. So this is one experience of one way of teasing you to be better. Let's talk about other way he has. For example, in the year 2001, I was 1 month in Cadiz. Cadiz is a place he has in the south. He invites magicians over there from, let's say, May, June, up to September. It's the longest magician gathering in the history of magic. And all the greatest magicians went there, and stayed with him. Because I was working with him. He invited me over, and he worked a lot. He worked 8 hours per day. So meanwhile, he was working in his versions. He told me, okay, I will work in this, you work in your thing. Do you have any things to work? And he said, yes. I said, yes. Can you show me? So then he looked, I have an oil and water version, and he looked at it, and he told me, but can you do it face up? And he started creating better conditions. No? Can you do it face up? Can you do it without touching? Can you do it like this? And then we worked for 2, 3, 4 hours until I get to the standard he was asking. And then I show again, and he said, much better, but can you do it without this finger on top, or more clear, or without moving? So we worked 2 hours, we stopped. He showed me what he was doing. Look, I had this progression, and I showed him. And then he put me new standard. I didn't put any standard to him. I was thinking it's the best. He was showing me he was doing great, but he's never accepting, this cheap glorification. So I was thinking, this is great, but he said, no, I need to work harder. So he continued working 2 hours more on myself, and my magic was growing and growing and growing and growing. And at the end of the 2 weeks working on this trick, I have a version, and I understood. I didn't do this. It's because of this guy. It's not because of me. But I understood, he's teaching me how to fish. He's not giving me the fish. So, he's teaching me the process behind it. Because he can give me the solution in 1 second maybe, but he's teaching me the process, how to go through it, no? And this for me was very, very helpful. Very, very, very helpful. Another approach he has to help you is doing the famous Tamariz questions, no? You show an effect, you have to make sure your effect is something you are doing. Don't show something new. Because if you show something new, he will talk about direction, timing, rhythm, technique. And you don't want to hear about Tamariz talking about this. You want to hear about how to make your trick more artistic, more, emotional. You can go to someone else to learn how to do better the misdirection. Understand what I mean? So you have to show Tamariz your best trick, your best. And he will ask you the questions, and he will make you shake or not. Maybe you are already thinking all of these things, but I'm not. Believe me, I was not thinking about this. And I remember I showed the frog in the year 2012 to him, and he told me, can you explain me the effect? And we were sitting 45 minutes discussing the effect. Discussing if one car is traveling into the frog, or only half car, or the car is changing and changing the back. We were discussing 45 minutes, and then we couldn't get an agreement. We need to continue the next day. I was thinking the whole day, and the next day again we reached the topic again. We discussed for 1 hour, and then we agree. I tried to myself say what I wanted, and when I discovered what I wanted, then he told me, okay, but what you wanted had many problems. Because when you do an effect mixed with other effect, this creates confusion in the public, and you need to correct this. And then he told me, okay, don't worry about it, because this is where the pattern comes to help the effect. Because he said the effect is like the face of a person, and the pattern is like the makeup. So when you have a defect in the face, you use the makeup to cover the defect. So if your effects have some defect, you need to clarify these defects for the audience. So let's talk about the defect, and now let's talk the options, and they discuss like this for days and days and days. And then he gave me some example. Okay, if I have to do this, I will do like this, but what you will do? And then I came up with the name, when I start my trick and say, this is the bluish Chameleonicus frog from South Africa. Then I established the frog is bluish and not red like the deck. I say Chameleonicus because this will clarify the effect at the end, but nobody see it coming because I say it's Chameleonicus because it's the size of the chameleon. And I start talking about things that at the end will make sense for the people. At the beginning, no. At the beginning, they will hear these things, but they will not pay attention. And at the end, we say, oh, he told me in the beginning, but I didn't pay attention. And this reminds me of a movie I just saw, Hereditary. And Hereditary is a movie, a horror movie, but they are calling the artistic horror movie. And it's so funny because this movie, and I can say here, spoiler alert, although I will not talk about the ending, but I will say something that no, I will not spoil the movie, but I can say during the movie, they say many things, like you don't pay attention properly, because someone saying these things in real life, you will say, you have to react. You cannot, listen to things and don't say nothing. And the movie is constructed in a way that they say many things and you don't pay attention. And at the end, you recapitulate and say, my God, they told me, they gave me all the information and I didn't even realize it until it's too late, no? So they made me think a lot in the frog, how to give information to people. We giving all the information at the beginning, but they don't realize. And this is something I learned from Tamariz in his treatment, how the pattern come to help the effect. And this is another way Tamariz treatment, staying with him. And also, he has a group of magicians from South Spain, Riobó, Pepe Domínguez, Juan Luis Rubiales, Ramón, Gomez, and others. Please forgive me, Spanish magician, if I forget your names, but he has an inner circle there who has a dynamic how to work a trick. And when someone shows something, everybody talks, how to say it, the truth, what they feel, what they think about your magic. Nobody get offended, and everybody want to improve. So imagine, you go to a group, you stay for 1 or 2 weeks, you show your magic, and you have 5, 6 of the finest mind in magic, seeing your magic, analyzing, trying to help you, giving you tools, feedbacks, plus Tamariz, plus Juan Tamariz there. I mean, you have to be very bad, you have to be like a dog doing magic to not to improve, I mean, it's very easy. This guy makes everything so easy, So the experience of being with Tamariz, the treatment he gives to the magic is, now he's asking, which one is the effect? Which emotion has this effect? How this trick talk about you? All these things. And you have to make a checklist, Is the trick talking about me? Is this trick have emotion? Which emotion they have? Which is the effect? Are the method, in how to say the method, properly to fulfill the effect, or are using the method I know because it's more comfortable to me? I have to do a double undercut, or I have to do a shift, a pass. Depends, it's not the same. What should I do? Understand what is better for the effect? All these things is Tamariz treatment, Of course, you may say, and many other magicians say, many magicians already thought about this, already asked this question. I don't say this is Tamariz invention, but this is Tamariz treatment, and you have to pass through it if you are close to him. And this is very, how to say, demanding. Because he told me one, Manuel, I see your face. If you don't like, I don't ask you this question anymore. But your magic is very good. Maybe it's 8 point, 9 point. He's telling this out of his really big generosity. But he told me, I want you to be more than that. I want you to be in the artistic level. And if you want to be in the artistic level, you have to go through this. You have to ask this question, and you have to answer this question, and you have to work harder. And I can say I saw Tamariz working in a routine for 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, 3 years, every day, for many hours to get the routine great. So if you want to analyze the phenomenon of Tamariz, you have to say he's very hardworking.
Yeah, one of the things that sticks out, which I don't know if it was meant to, but there's so many processes in magic that in order to be the best, you have to put yourself under a level of scrutiny, under a magnifying glass that you never have. And oftentimes for me, that process is like watching back video footage of your performance. And I think that some of these questions that he's asking are ones that do the same thing, you know, and especially with what you're saying about like you only want to show him the best thing that you have, and then you show him the best thing that you have, and then he asks you a question that makes you feel like it's all wrong, right? But that relationship, and more the relationship with your own magic, and I have this word here written down, and is being disattached, you know, with your magic, seems like one of the tools that you can use to not be so emotionally wrapped up in, you know, a trick that you put your whole work into. But of course you obviously have your emotions and your heart and stuff like that a part of a trick because you put so much into it.
One alert. I need to do one alert there.
Yeah.
And one stop there. Of course, all you say is completely true. This is exactly what I say, and I agree completely. There is one alert, something you need to be conscious about. And I will give some example. For example, when Elaidini used to teach magic, he has a process, he has a system, and he wants everybody to follow the system. And sometimes when you see followers of Elaidini, they all look the same, no? Sometimes when you are listening to someone who is giving you advices and trying to make you advance, it's very important this person really knows you. He has to know your personality. He has to know your background. He has to know your sensitivity, because otherwise he's giving you advices that only work for them, not for you. And then everything becomes very artificial and everything becomes a disaster because you start applying concepts and things that are not right for you. And then you become, frustrated all the time because you never get to do your own stuff or your own style. So you have to be very careful from whom you take advice. And sometimes when even great teachers give you advice, you have to have your own, part in the brain where you question everything, and where you keep having faith in your own things, even if they are criticized. But you need to have arguments to maintain this, to sustain your posture. If you don't have argument, you are lost. But sometimes you have to, okay, I showed to him, he tell me this advice, and now I have to analyze. All these things are applying. Can I apply all these things to me or not? This is something like this mistake is absolute or is relative. Absolute in the terms of if I'm doing this technique, everybody can see, is absolute. It's wrong. You are doing wrong, everybody can see. But sometimes this approach to the effect is relative because for me it's representing something, but for him he has another view. So both postures are okay. So you have to be mature to understand, no? Otherwise you become a robot of anyone, no, who tell you anything. You have to be mature to understand, no? Otherwise, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I can say Tamariz is very conscious of this, and he told me many times, Manuel, you do your own style, Manuel, do your own trick, don't do my trick, don't do my style. And he's very, with me at least, and I'm very fortunate for that. He's very strong, He see me doing something, he immediately tell me, no, why you do like this? This is very similar what I do. Don't do like this. Do something different. Try to do it like this. And this is what is very important to me because he doesn't want to create robots of little Tamariz, no? And this is very dangerous when you are nearby some great personality like him, not to, adopt some of the style, some of the gesture, especially when you grew up with him, no? When you create your personality around him. You were a teenager and then you are a grown-up and you grown up with him. So this you have to be very, very, very conscious and very, very, you have to be open to self-criticism when you see yourself and say, no, I have to take this away, I have to take this away. And this I realized 2-3 years ago, no? When you see a magician, you see a show, to understand this is important for the effect, this is only important for the person. This is what the person is, and this is what they make the effect greater. This is a joke that only talk about the personality, the inner world, and the rhythm of the artist, but not about the effect. So this joke, all the things are part of him. Let's look about what is a part of the effect only, what makes the effect greater. Sometimes this subtlety, this phrase, or these things. For example, Howard Hamburg captured this idea very good. When Dai Vernon was telling at the end of the Triumph, the cards were mixed up and mixed down and say some people, drunk people, shuffle like this, and then I realized I was a magician. This phrase goes so well with the trick. No, it's not about talking about himself, but talking about, when something happens, you realize your own power. I don't know, have something the phrase. Okay, this I will take and analyze, and I will try to adapt. But if, for example, is Tamariz is saying at the end of the trick, chararan, I don't want to copy that. This is his own style. This doesn't make me great to do this. Doesn't make nothing, This is only will be doing something only because make me feel more, secure. Because I know this will work for him. But it doesn't make the trick great. This makes the show of Tamariz great, but my show very poor. So whatever I'm conscious, I'm trying to take away. Some things I'm not conscious because they are, when you are doing some mistake, of course you are doing it because you are not conscious. Otherwise you will, you will correct immediately. Well, with the years, you are getting more conscious and conscious. So whatever I get in conscious, I'm trying to remove it immediately. And whatever I'm not conscious, okay, I will try to still be very, self-criticize myself to, in the years, removing, and trying to make the magic more personal and more, myself.
I love it, but I love specifically what you said right there at the end about like the stuff that you can, use from your teachers and your mentors is stuff that you consciously choose to use. If it's stuff that just, ends up what you're doing because that's what you've seen a lot of, then you need to rush to change that because that's not you agreeing with your mentor or teacher and implementing it, but it's just sort of going through you and then coming out of you without you focusing on it. So that is a really, really great way to think about learning and using things that are from your teachers. I really like that. We're getting here towards the end of the episode, and there are a few wrap-up questions on the end of the episode that we like to ask just to pull the whole thing together. So the first thing is, people have been listening now for like 2 hours, and I want to maybe try to distill a moment or a part that if they think back to the episode, they can think about just this part or just the moment. So each of us, you and I, will mention something from the episode that we think was of the most importance. So if they were to take only one thing or they were to remember one thing, to take that with them. For me, the big word was disattached. Being disattached with your magic. That was very, very interesting to me, and it's allowing me to think about being less wrapped up in the magic that you do and being much more open to change. And the other thing that really, really resonated with me is the phrase concert of emotions or emotional script. Those are two ideas that I am going to add putting emotions in my script to my script writing process, because that is so important and something that just adds a whole deeper level of all of magic for me. So that is a highlight or important thing for me. What was a highlight or maybe a most important take-home point for you, for people who are listening?
I can say you have to live magic as a passion. You have to follow your passion and put all your energy in it. If you really love the magic, you have to put your energy. You have to learn from the senior magician, analyze them, understand them, try to see the magic through their eyes, understand their point of view, and apply to your magic in your own way. This is very important. And then the only thing that really at the end of whatever we are telling is we have to be happy. We have to be happy when we perform. Even if we are performers, professional, not professional, beginner, no beginner, we have to be happy. So we have to you want to make people happy, you have to be happy performing. And happy performing means you have to love the effect, love the method, and love yourself. So this is the most thing important I learned from Tamariz, and whatever I say, all come to this, everything come to this. I mean, you point out the other special point I like about emotion, and this is the second thing. You have to love what you do, you have to have passion, and you have to trying to learn from the best. Who is the best of what I do, and learn from them. This is my...
And because it's, one of the things that you've really highlighted in this episode is, a lot of the challenges that come with doing this. And I think that, that starting with having to love it and knowing that you love it is very helpful when you're, staring at the face of challenges, rewriting magic, redoing research, all of these different things that should be fun. If you're not enjoying researching dozens of an effect, then you're doing something wrong, because you should enjoy it. So I really like that. The next question is sort of something about the modern world of Magic. So things are changing very quickly in Magic right now, online, offline, things like that. What's something in the current world of Magic that you like that's going on, and something that you don't like?
Let's start with the positive things. There are many, but let's talk about one, like the new style in Magic that make the Magic come to your hand, no, through the phone. This is a new style, the Magic in 1 minute or in seconds that happen in your phone. Like people appreciate, like, when you are in Instagram or in Facebook, these 1 minute videos of a completely new style of Magic that create a lot of controversy amongst classic magicians. No, this is not Magic, this is only one angle. But he's doing great with the Magic itself, because this Magic is getting everywhere, widely open to all, and everybody start appreciating Magic in a different way, And then you have this new style like Jim Lim, for example, like many people hate him, but he has a style, It's a Magic in TV, for TV, with the special condition, in a special way. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of Magic, but I understand they are experimenting new way of doing the Magic with the new way the people is consuming, the contents. So this is something positive. I think it will lead somewhere different and somewhere fun. I don't know how this will evolve in the future, but it's something to think about, how people consume the Magic and how we are going to do it. This is something to think about. Things I don't like is everything becomes so easy to get. So I want to learn something, I put in YouTube, I learn everything. Everything become very shallow. It's no deep. There is no depthness in the average new magicians. They just see a video, they copy everything, they don't put nothing, because everything is so easy, because you have to wait for months, a book or someone to teach you, and you appreciate the effect, and you make the effect yours for years, and you grown up with this effect, and now you can see you can hardly ever see magicians who grown up with the act. They change and change and change and change. So this is something like to think about, how to learn to appreciate the effects and grow up with this effect. Grow up, not spend some years and dedicate some years and evolve with the effect. This is something I appreciate more. It will be this way. And I think nowadays everything's in internet. It's so easy, and sometimes people don't give the proper value. But it's just, have to say, opinion. Maybe it's not the reality.
For sure, it is a reality. I think it is happening a little bit like that, and I also think that hopefully more resources like this and other in-depth conversations allow people to, focus on things a little more. I know things really changed for me when I started performing professionally, just because I knew that every time I got on stage and watched back what I was doing, I knew that it needed to be better, which means, more intricate work, more scripting, more thinking about the responses, more watching back video, and so on and so on and so on, and developing. But even still, that idea of all of the research and researching dozens and dozens or all of the versions of an effect is something that I think I consider myself part of the younger generation, and I don't have folders and folders on my computer of past versions of effects. So I think that that stuff is definitely happening, and I love that. I thought that was a great capture of the moment in time. The next thing that I wanted to ask is the endless chain. So in order to keep the podcast going for eternity and never ending, each guest on the podcast is asked to recommend one or two other guests that we absolutely must have on, with the only rule being you have to be able to put us in contact. So who are some of the people that we absolutely have to have come on this podcast and share their thoughts on magic?
I can say, the first one, it will be great, is the man itself. Tamariz can talk about all these topics. The Magic School being one of the, the creator of all this movement, or at the beginning, at least he was at the beginning. Would be great to have him, and I will be very happy to talk to him and talk to him about this project, really, because I think it will be great for everyone. I will listen also to him.
That would be an absolute dream.
Yeah. I will try. I don't know the outcome because he's very busy, and the English aspect of the thing. This is one thing. The second I can say is Iñaki Zabaleta, because Iñaki Zabaleta, being a FISM world champion in card magic, a professional magician for many years, a creator of magic effects, and now he's performing in the circus in China for 3,000 people in the highest professional level in the past 3 years. He's not well known in the magic community nowadays. He is great in the sense he went to China, he speaks Chinese, he can do all his routine in Chinese, and he can work in close-up, and he can work in a stage, he can work surrounded in the circus. It's a great experience to understand how to evolve professionally, and when you don't have a ceiling, you are growing and growing and growing and growing. This will be great if you talk to him and learn how to become really a professional in magic, and applying the concept of the theory, but professionally, practically. Another will be Michel, because Michel, he's a great magician from Argentina. He was one of the developers of the Invisible Hand. This is a holdout. And now he after many years, he was of the top one professional in Argentina. He decided to renew himself, and he became mentalist, and he stopped doing magic. Can you imagine? He was the greatest magician. He stopped doing magic tricks, and he only does mentalism now for the past 6-7 years. And he's the top in Argentina performing, and I can say in the top in South America. And he's one of the top 5 professional magicians I saw in my life. So Michel can be another option, very interesting for the...
Wow.
And I can say another name is Pablo Sanata, because Pablo Sanata, he was a student of Michael Skinner, a very close friend of him. Of course, he is in the school of Edward Marlo. He knows a lot about Edward Marlo, but also he's in the school of Escuela Mágica de Madrid, because he was attending to the Escorial for many years. He knows a lot about American magic, but also Spanish magic, and he has more than 5,000 books in his home. You won't believe it. His library is amazing. It's like one of the biggest. But these 3, I feel, plus Alan Marchese, I feel something different. You will never call him because you don't know him.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. And I love that there's people that I have not heard of in that list. That's why, that's one of the reasons why I asked these questions. So that's very helpful. And the last thing is plugs. So where can people find you, and where can people find some of your magic, that you've spoken about in this episode? Where can people go find where to get it, and also how to get in contact with you?
Well, if you want to get in contact with me, you can look me in Llaser Magic. You put my surname, Llaser Magic. Here I have Instagram, Facebook, and Llaser Magic is also my webpage. Plus, very soon we are releasing the Penguin Lecture.
And
I
just recorded that, yeah?
Yeah, I just recorded last week. So I will teach most of the stuff I was doing for the past 15, 20 years. Also, I release the frog, because I think it's time to share with the magic community. I hope magicians like. And I'm releasing for the first time my version of the 6-card repeat that is completely different in method.
That also, by the way, I saw you do at Magi Fest for the group, a table of people, which was incredible. It was amazing.
I'm very happy with this version. I don't like to talk much about things because I don't know. I hope someone like or someone appreciate if they like and can use it. But anyway, you can see this Penguin Magic Live show, and also some of the downloads I have there. Plus in Bernet Magic, I have all my products. If you want to see, or if you want to contact directly, I always very eager to share, talk about magic, share whatever you need, and also learn from all of you. If you contact me, I will be very happy to learn from you. So thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Manuel, for joining us on the episode and giving us so much knowledge and information that is going to help in honestly becoming as great of a magician as we can be. So I know for me, thank you so much for all of this. And of course, a big thank you to everybody at home who joined us for an extra special episode, 2 hours of amazing magic advice and really exactly, what questions you can ask yourself, what practices, what processes you can add to what you currently have to help make your magic way better. So thank you so much for all of that, and we will see everyone next Thursday.
Thank you very much. Big hug for everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to this opportunity to talk.
My pleasure. Well, there you go. There you have it. I hope that you learned something in episode 151. Take a moment right now. Think about maybe which idea resonated with you, which idea was inspiring to you, and write it down or see if you can start implementing it in your magic. I want these podcasts to help you get better. Once again, thank you for being here. Your ears mean the world, and I will see you next Thursday.